Blog Talk Radio.
Hey everybody, it's your girl Sunny D. Welcome to tonight's show. Welcome back. Actually, we've been going the end of the summer, right?
Right, yeah, it's been a couple weeks.
So yeah, welcome back. September
Right,
is already in
right.
the middle.
We had our own little vacation, I guess.
Yeah, it was probably needed though.
As always.
Yeah, it was needed. But anyway, it's September 12th, 2019. We got a great show lined up for y'all tonight. If you're listening right now, you're on blogtalkradio.com/GFT radio show. If you catch the playback, either on iTunes, SoundCloud, Google Play Music, either Blog Talk Radio, uh, YouTube. I'm trying to think of all the other places other
Right.
places you can find dope podcasts is where you can find us.
Yes, yes. We're leading the charge, just so everybody knows. Conan O'Brien's not leading the charge. Even Joe Button and them, they're late to this game. We've been podcasting for what is it now? 3 years, 4 years?
Yeah,
Three
I
years.
think about 3 years.
Yeah, it's
A
been
little
3 years. Yeah, yeah. So welcome to the revolution. We've been doing this.
over. Yeah, definitely. So, like I said, we got a great show lined up for y'all. If you want to call in, 657-383-1155. Are you on Twitter?
Yeah, I'm getting on Twitter right now.
Okay, so if you guys are
I'll
on
be
Twitter
taking
at GFT_radio,
I'll be taking your tweets.
yes. So, tonight's topic, I think Clint came up with this one, right?
Spare the rod, spoil the child. Yep. I think it was a dual effort on our side. I had an idea, and he took it a little further. There was not an article. It was a video that I watched that was showcasing a father and his lesson that he was giving his kids. Mainly, he was what's the word? He was training them, doing strength training. And if anyone saw the video, unfortunately, I don't have the video link, but if I find it again, I'll definitely post it. Basically, the father is like doing strength training. The kids are like 7 or 8 years old. Is the youngest kid. The oldest kid looks like he's about 12 or 13, and he's like throwing medicine balls at the kid. He's doing some sparring against the kid's body, and he's teaching them to to be able to take that abuse, take that punches, and be able to handle the pressures of the world. So so this kind of sparked my interest in thinking about what are we teaching our children and how are we teaching our children. Clint took it a step further, mentioned the whole spare the rod, spoil the child thing, which we'll get into that later as well, that's expression. But basically, about discipline and, how we teach our children and what we're teaching them. So we just expanded on that. So, yeah, so I think it's going to be a good conversation about, what should we be teaching our kids, how we should be teaching our kids, and, when it's too much, and when it's not enough. So.
Yeah, I think that was, I watched that video. I didn't really have a problem with it. So, I understand some people's problem with it and stuff like that. But, I think that did spark the conversation. And then the interesting information Clint shared with us about, like you said, that phrase of spare the rod, spoil the child. So,
Yeah,
it's definitely a great topic. So, we're going to dive right into it.
yeah.
So, do you want to
I
talk
think,
about the actual term first?
Yeah. I guess we can talk about that first. So, spare the rod, spoil the child. A lot of people know the expression. A lot of people know the phrase, and some people even use it, and here and there. One thing that, and I knew about this already. What Clint had kind of clued us into, or had kind of schooled us on, is just the fact that spare the rod, spoil the child is a Bible verse. It's not a full. There's nowhere in the Bible where that full statement is made. There's a few instances of discipline that are discussed in terms of how you should discipline your child, as well as how you should teach your child. But there's nowhere in the Bible where it specifically says that you should spank your child, or that you should um, not, not give them chastisements because of spoiling them, or making them feel entitled. So, the one thing that I've always known about that expression is that the spare the rod portion of it is actually in reference to, like, here we go, we're going to give you all some Bible teachings. It's actually reference to sheep herding, a rod being the actual shepherd's crook. So basically you're guiding the sheep with the rod side of it. You're using the hook to pick them up if they fall into peril. So it's basically something you don't forget to discipline or steer your children, because if you forget to do that, or if you fail to discipline, or not even really just discipline, but to actually guide and teach your children, then they will grow up, they won't have any learning, right? They won't know anything. And that's what we want to talk about today is, what should we be teaching our kids? The guidance portion of it is huge. But, in terms of what the Bible says, the Bible actually says, if you don't guide your children, you obviously hate your child. That's what it says. That's basically all it says. So check your Bibles. There's 1,001 different interpretations. There's one interpretation that gets pretty. Say it again.
Nah, I laugh. You said check your Bibles.
Right. Check your Bibles, because everybody's got a different Bible. I mean, I use a different Bible than you guys use. You guys use a different Bible than what some of our people on the listening line is using, and then some people who don't even really believe in the Bible. So, go check what you got out there. Spread the Rod, Spoil the Child actually came from a book from I think it was Sunny, like the 1800s or the 1900s, early 1900s. Basically. It was a fetish book, oddly enough. And I love how popular culture likes to imbue themselves upon religious matters. And the book itself was about cheating and fetishes. And basically, a woman was cheating with a guy, and she told him, if you want to get with me, you better spank my ass. So, it was one of the first times, sadomasochism, not the first, but this is one of an early work of sadomasochism in a book. So check that out. I will definitely post that link so you guys can check that article out that explains it. If you do a Google search, you'll find plenty of articles talking about the book, talking about the subject matter. It has nothing to do with the Bible. It has more to do with sex and sadomasochism than anything else. So enjoy.
So basically, stop using that term to justify you spanking your children.
Yeah, stop trying to use that as a biblical means of spanking your kids. I mean,
If you want to spank your kids, spank your kids.
I grew up getting whoopings, but my aunt, she whooped us just because that was just how she did things. It had nothing to do with us getting biblical teachings. It was just because we needed our asses beat. That's basically what it was. So it had nothing to do with the Bible. She never brought the Bible up in that. She just said, y'all are some badass kids, and she whooped our asses. So it was what it was. I grew up for the better of it.
Yeah, I got beaten almost every day. Eventually, I learned.
We always learn. You get your ass beat enough, you'll learn. So let's get back to teaching our kids. So the one thing that and I think that was this is number one on our list of items in our outline today, is the one thing that I think people should really definitely teach their kids, and I think in this millennial age, in this social media age, that we have seen a lack of is self-control. I think people are lacking self-control, and it's being passed on to the kids. And what I mean is, people are out here just doing whatever the hell they want to do. You see it out in the parties, you see it in the streets, you see it on social media, you see it everywhere. People are just doing what they want to do. fully disregarding people's safety, people's peace of mind, their property, their sanity sometimes. And I
Mhm.
think one thing that people need to start focusing on is let's get back into teaching our kids self control. 'Cause, control yourselves around the public, control yourselves around your family. Everything can't be for likes. We got to get out of that. This day and age, everybody wants to do things for likes. Everybody wants to be social media famous, and they'll do anything. I mean, absolutely anything to try to get social media famous, to go viral, and all that other BS. And it's not worth it. People are losing their lives, their jobs, their sanity. I saw a girl today on an article where she got kicked in the head because some kid decided to crowd surf at a high school dance. What the fuck are we crowd surfing at high school dances for? This is the kind of stuff I'm talking about. Now this young lady got kicked in the head because of this idiot wants to crowd surf at high school, and now she can't remember anything every couple of hours. Her memory resets, and now she's stuck in July or June 11th, 2019, the rest of her life. And it's sad, because people are getting hurt behind this stuff because some people don't know how to teach their kids how to control themselves.
Yeah, I know. Like school just started. It might be in the realm of like where we're going with this first part, but we had kids. So my kids had my daughter's high school is brand new. They got introduced to it. They built a whole new school for them, thankfully. And we had like welcome to the school. The parents got to see the school. We got to walk to like around the building, the tour, stuff like that. So when you walk into the building, they're taking cups and stuff. They don't want juice, and they don't want anybody bringing the outside food.
Right.
Do you know a parent got into a full blown argument with security guard about it? Like not only did they have juice or whatever, their kids had it. You're having a full blown like this is their rule. They're asking you not to do this, and instead of you abiding by it as a parent, you're having a full blown argument about it.
Wow.
Like you're not even setting an example for your kids. You're mad because you decided to go to McDonald's and get whatever it was, and then come in here and they're telling you can't bring it in here.
Right.
And instead of you saying either I'm gonna drink it outside until it starts, and then I'm gonna go in because we were early. They were going over like telling the kids the rules and regulations. Parents could have been in there, or you could have just said, "Let me finish this, and then I'll come in. You go ahead."
Right. Exactly.
You started a full blown argument with security guard.
Well, I mean, I think
a
lot. Yeah, a lot of that is people's entitlement. That's probably what it was.
You said what?
People in their entitlements, they feel entitled, like they should be allowed to do whatever they want to do. I'm sure the words "I'm grown" was probably thrown around a little bit in there.
Yeah, but I think that people realize they miss that. Like, cause then, like I used to work with kids a lot. When you have a problem child, and then you meet their parent, and then you're sitting there like, wow. Okay, now.
Exactly. Now you see where it comes from.
Like their child can do no wrong.
Right.
So.
Yeah, that's crazy. I mean, I think people like that are generally, I mean, they're already childish, as you can see, but then they're also, like I said, they may feel entitled, or they may feel like they have some, extra reason, or they don't see the point of the rules and feel like that they should be able to disregard those rules. And it's stupid in a way, but it's sad too, because like you said, they're doing this in front of their kids, and their kids are learning this behavior from them and thinking that makes it okay. And then they don't learn that you sometimes just have to follow certain rules. Certain people are setting these rules for a reason. I mean, it's just like when you go in certain people's houses and you got to take your shoes off. It's not that we think you dirty or that we think that you don't know how to wipe your feet at the door. It's just that I don't want you tracking outside all around my house. Like, I just have that rule. So, Same thing with bringing food. You're bringing outside food. One, they may be trying to sell food inside to boost, for the boosters, or maybe selling it for the high school sports, or possibly, brand new school, don't want to have to clean that mess up that you're going to spill everywhere, because people spill crap, So I think people just don't get the obvious common sense reasoning behind certain things, and think that it's time, it's a time for outrage, or time for lashing out, or getting back at the establishment.
Yeah.
That's
That's why when you wrote this summary up, I was just like, wow, because you like, I think of the stuff that I teach my daughter,
mm-hmm.
And like, I want her to learn how to take care of herself if something should happen to me.
Right.
I want her to be responsible with her spending and her money, and prioritize her bills.
Mm-hmm.
As if she's to the point where she really, like, I want her to be the point where if nobody else helps her, she could still do it.
Mm-hmm.
Like, that's how I want to teach my kids.
Exactly.
But I did these parents are teaching, like, I know I'm not the best parent, but I try to teach her some things. Like, I know some areas as a parent I lack off on, or I don't do well. But I want the good stuff I do to outweigh the bad stuff.
Right. Yeah. I mean, there are certain times when we may cut up a little bit, or we may have our times when we aren't the perfect parent. Not everybody's a perfect parent. I mean, that might have been a bad night for that parent. I guess, in retrospect, thinking about it, there are certain times when you may feel entitled because you didn't understand why something is the way it is. It may be a bad night for that parent, but you do have to, like you say, you need to let the good outweigh the bad. You do have to show your children, or teach your children, the better ways to work with society, or at least maneuver and be able to. I mean, I'm not saying you got to conform to every little thing that society puts out, because society's tripping. I mean, it's some people feel like it's gone too far, in certain aspects. Some people feel like, everyone's evil, or whatever the case may be. But I think that you still have to know how to maneuver through society. You still have to be able to deal with people, deal with bosses, deal with the general public. There's things that you have to be able to do to survive in this world, and being, knuck if you buck with everybody around you is not going to be the way to go. Definitely not.
Yeah, I'm thought about something, and I think about when we were talking about this whole thing, and I just feel like we have to be mindful of stuff that we teach our kids without really realizing we're teaching it to them.
Mm-hmm.
Like, how we all grow up, our parents do things we don't like, and we try not to be like them, but we end up being just like them.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. Mm-hmm.
Not that they intentionally showed us that, or like I'm gonna put it like this. So my mom we knew she loved us, but she didn't do hugs and stuff like that. Like, when you hugged her, she assumed you wanted something.
Right.
Or you were trying to butter up to get something. Right. And I know I said this on past podcasts where I wasn't really affectionate with my daughter.
Okay.
Like, I didn't really hug her. Like, I mean, when she was little, yeah. When she got older, I didn't do that. The same way she came and hugged me, it's like, what you want? Maybe she did want something, but maybe she wanted to hug me too. I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
But I realized that, and then I started, like, randomly hugging her. Now she's a teenager, like, Mom, come on. What you doing? But I still initiate a hug.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I try to be affectionate with her. The same way I'm with my son. My son could be playing, and I just be mindful enough to just look at him and hug him.
Mm. Right.
For no reason. I'm like, say, can mommy have a hug? And he'll give me a hug. Because I want them to not feel like hugging me means they want something. Or I don't want to initiate affection. And
Right.
for the longest,
Right.
I didn't realize that that's what I was doing.
Learn behaviors. Learn behaviors.
Yeah. It was like that unspoken learned behavior.
Yeah, I mean, I grew up in a household like that too, where my parents were minimal. You know, they were minimalist when it came to showing affection. Um, I mean, my mom always talks about it, and I never thought about it really, but you know, she always mentions how when we were growing up, she could probably count on her hand how many times per month or per even on two hands per year, how many times she probably voluntarily said how much she loved us, and she probably gave us a hug maybe only once or twice, every couple of months, because she wasn't really a hugger. She wasn't really a oh, I love you this much, that kind of person. And she did eventually start to say it more when we were teenagers. I think by then she realized what was going on, what she was doing, or what she was failing to do. And I mean, I didn't love my mother any less for not saying she loves me every day. I didn't love my mother any less for not hugging me every day. It just was a part of life, right? It was just one of those things. You just didn't expect it, didn't think about it. It wasn't like everybody else was running around hugging me, so I didn't think it was weird that she didn't hug me every day. But when it counted, she did. I mean, there was times when, either there was some big accomplishment we had, or I mean, not really me, but I think my sister had a few incidents where she just was emotionally, distraught about something, and my mother or father offered her a hug, that kind of thing. But when it came to, day to day, yeah, it wasn't part of our day to day lives. And luckily, I didn't take that learned behavior and put it upon my kids. There was some other learned behavior I put upon my kids, but that was one thing that I did notice when I became a father, was that I did want to tell my kids I love them more. And I think it was because when I was a teenager, saying I love you, and well, it was really just the I love you thing. We still didn't really give hugs, but the I love yous were more, became protocol. It wasn't like you were saying it out of, oh my God, I love my mom so much. It was like protocol, like, good night, I love you, have talk to you tomorrow. It wasn't like it was something like I saw a meme about a father said he put his kid to sleep. His kid's 3 or 4 years old. He puts his kid to sleep, and he says, he says every night, he tells his kid, "Good night, sweet dreams, I love you." And he tells his kid that, and his kid responds, "Got it. Talk to you tomorrow. Talk to you later," or something like that. It was hilarious to me. But it goes to show you that kids, you know, sometimes they realize that some of that stuff is protocol. It's not. It's not saying. You're not saying it out of.
It's not saying that out of your heart.
Exactly. You're not saying it out of affection. You're saying it out of protocol, out of process. And process can be good, but sometimes when it comes to things like that, it becomes kind of like, you're just saying it because you got to say it. So I think when I became a parent, I tried to make sure that when I said it and when I expressed it, that I expressed it with meaning, or I tried to express it in different ways throughout the time that my kids were growing up. I tried not to make it so protocol, but I mean, it's hard to say I love you without saying I love you, right? So my kids heard it a lot. That my kids heard it on a day-to-day basis. But I also wanted my kids to hear it on a day-to-day basis, so that they know that they are loved, and that there's somebody who cares about them, and that somebody's thinking about them, and that we're there for them. Not that my parents weren't, but that I wanted it to be expressed. And that was one thing I felt like I did a fairly good job of doing. I mean, one of my daughters says that she still grew up with low self-esteem and low self-worth because she didn't feel enough love. But I think also there's expectations that people have that you may not be able to live up to. I mean, I don't know what her expectations were, but she couldn't express it to me either to be able to explain to me why she felt that way. But she had some expectations that we just didn't. We just ended up not living up to. And that happens. It's not anybody's fault in particular, especially when you try. You know what I mean? But I think that a lot of times, what we think we're doing versus what's happening is two different things. It's all perspective, right? It's all perspective.
Yeah, I know. For me now, I feel bad because I don't go around saying I love you. I don't even. I know my daughter had.
You are kind of hardcore
like that, whatever too. You said what?
I said, yeah, you are kind of hardcore. So.
Yeah. No, but I even my daughter, but she be like, you don't like me, and I said sometimes I don't. I love you, but sometimes I don't like you. It's normally during those discussions where she's like, you don't even like me, or you hate me. I'm like, I don't hate you. I don't like your attitude. Your attitude sucks, but I love you. Like I tell her that's when we having our debates about her mouth.
Right. Yeah, I mean, there's that. Kids don't realize they get on our damn nerves when when it comes to attitudes and odd responses and things like that. It's like, come on, like for real. But
she still had to learn self-control with her mouth.
Right. Yeah.
And I tell her that we had that conversation all the time. And it's partially my fault because I had her for 11 years by herself.
Yeah.
She got to get a lot of stuff. And by the time I tried to bring her in, but at the same time, she wasn't really disrespectful either.
Right.
It wasn't until that mid-teenage years, and then you got to slap the self-control into them.
Yeah, exactly.
Find them not their friend. So it's constant reminding her who you talking to because I ain't your friend. You could be mad.
Ain't your little friend.
Say what you want, but not what you say is how you say it.
Right.
You're not going to talk like you lost your damn mind or you pay bills in here.
Well, that's the thing is that a lot of people fail to teach their kids that. They fail to teach their kids to have tact, to have the state of mind to realize that there's a way of saying things. I mean, I was going through the hallway at one of my jobs a few years ago, and I said something to a guy, and he answered me with what? Literally said what? And I'm like thinking to myself, this fool did not learn how to answer people properly at home. My parents were military, so we were taught to say yes sir, no sir, excuse me, please, thank you, all that stuff. So when you hear people answer what, and I know there's a lot of people probably listening right now, and it's like, oh, I say that. Yeah, we're talking about you. Yeah, that's improper. You don't answer people with the word what, and definitely not in that tone. I hate that tone. I hate that word when people say that. When people answer with what, it's like, come on, for real? Nobody taught you home training. But it's that's just one of those things is that people don't realize you have to teach your children tact. You have to teach them the ability to interact with people. And, what is one of those things that, people don't realize. You got to teach kids not to say what when they're answering people. Also to say thank you, to say please, to say you're welcome. I know for a while I had gotten bad with that. And so when I started noticing that I was getting bad with not saying the words you're welcome, I started using it more at work. And I started teaching my kids that, look, somebody says thank you, say you're welcome. At least acknowledge the thanks. It's one thing to say thank you, and that's a good thing to do. It's a good habit to be in. But then there's a lot of people who, you say thank you, and they just kind of ignore it, and it's like, wow, it may 9 times out of 10 I would say it's not out of spite, but it's still good to acknowledge a person and say, hey, you know what? I acknowledge your thanks. You're welcome. Whatever the case may be. Also, please is one of the biggest words that people forget to say every day. Can I get this or give me that? That kind of stuff. The entitlement is just crazy, and I think that people forget that there's this little word called please that will make things a lot smoother when it comes to getting what you want out of life. And I think that's one thing that we're failing to teach kids, especially in this day and age, when it comes to having digital
Man,
assistants, and people are all over their phone all the time, and they're in this entitlement age, and it's one of those lost arts of saying thank you. So
no, you
definitely
know
people
what's funny
teach the
too?
kids to say thank you.
Another issue that my grandma used to say, and as kids nowadays they don't do. You walk into my house and don't speak.
Yes. Oh my
My
God, that's a
grandma be
huge.
like, "Hello, I didn't sleep with you last night."
Yeah, I love that one. I love that. I didn't sleep with you. I love that one. That's my. I always forget to say that one. That's what, I'm gonna start using that one at work, because those assholes. I swear. I've said good morning. I've reduced it to just morning. You don't have to even say good morning to me, because maybe you're not having a good morning. At least say morning. Say something to me, like hello. We didn't wake up in bed this morning. We weren't in the same house. I haven't seen you today. Say good morning when you're passing me in the hallway. Say good morning when you walk into my cube. Like, what the hell? Like, you invade my space. Say good morning to me first before you start spouting off everything you need from
Oh, I hate when certain people at my job say good morning to me.
me. It's because you sitting there
Just walk
listening
in
to
and say
your,
good
your
morning to the
trap
group
music. It's
and
because
go
you're
put your
you
stupid
sitting there
ass
listening
back.
to your trap music, and you don't want to be bothered. That's all.
Like, let me come out and say good morning. That means I want to talk to people. When I get there, I don't want to fucking talk to none of you people.
Yeah, I know I can see the people who need coffee in the morning before they can be spoken to, but I still feel like people need to be cordial, and it's like we're at work. We got to spend the next 8 to 10 hours with each other. Say something to
Well,
me.
I don't like it this. You walk past somebody at work and you say good morning. They look you in the eye and don't say nothing.
Yeah, that's an annoyance to me too. At least act like you didn't hear me. Don't give me that stare.
Don't get
Like
eye contact and they keep walking by.
exactly. Exactly. And I'm not a quiet person either. Like, I'm not the most loudest person in the office, but I'm definitely not the quietest. So you heard me. So yeah, definitely,
So,
people. But I think that's one of those things where, like what I was mentioning in the outline, like you gotta prep your kids for success, you know, because bottom line, if I'm the hiring manager for that person's next job, I'm gonna look at them like they crazy. They're gonna be like, oh, I want to come into your department. I'm gonna act like I didn't even hear them, because you're not even saying good morning to me. As well as, I need you to say please and thank you when you're dealing with our customers. Like, there's some life skills that I think people are missing, and it's making them, it's dooming them to fail. You know what I mean? And it's the little things that people notice, especially, like, I mean, even if you're not technically in a customer service role, your job may still involve some customer service. Like, I'm in IT. I work on computers all day. A lot of people don't expect the IT person to be also a customer service person, and that's what I am. I have to deal with executives. I have to deal with other department heads, and work with them in their IT needs. So I have to
mm,
exude and exhibit great customer service. I have to be able to talk to those executives. I have to be able to work with those other department heads to get what I want out of them. So, being able to, say, little things like please, thank you, and, show them courtesy and respect. It's it's important, show them good customer service and say, hey, you know what, I want to treat you like I treat my employees, or even better, and I want to be able to show you that, we value you as a internal customer. So I think a lot of people miss the point that even if you're not in that specific role, yeah, you don't have to be a clerk at a desk, taking change, whatever. You could be just dealing with internal customers that you have to deal with on a day-to-day basis. You have to learn how to deal with people and treat them with respect. And that's one thing we have to teach our kids is treat other people with respect. So then that way, one, they can respect you, as well as they
mm,
can know that you're worthy of, promotions, jobs, whatever, and that'll help you prepare for success. It'll help your
exactly.
kid
Because I
prepare for
know
success.
I tell my daughter, I try to teach her to speak up.
Mm. Yes, yes,
Kids,
that's
my mom,
important.
can you call so and so? No, I need you to call them.
Exactly. Yes.
Especially if it's
Thank
something
you.
important,
Yes.
you need to be able to do that.
Yeah.
And it's something so small.
Don't crutch your kids. Definitely don't make
Yeah.
that call for your kid. I like now my kids when they're I think usually fourth grade, maybe even third grade. I start getting my kids into the habit of go talk to your teacher yourself. I'm not about to sit here and talk to your teachers on your behalf. That's on you. You want this education? Well, not you want it. You need this education. But you got to get this education. You go take care of what you need to do with that teacher as well, because you need to be able to learn how to speak to people. You need to be able to learn how to ask the questions you need answered. You need to learn how to deal with getting information, asking for favors. I tell my kids all the time, you missed a homework assignment, go talk to that teacher about extra credit. You need to go talk to them. I'll give them a little script when they're starting off. I'm like, you're gonna come up to the teacher. You're gonna say this. You're gonna say that. You're gonna, appease them with this. Let them know you're not gonna be late on again on this next assignment or whatever the case may be. But you need to go to that teacher yourself and learn how to speak and learn how to
Mhm.
take up for yourself. One of my daughters had an issue with a teacher one time, and I'm like, I'm going to back you up on this, but I also need you to work things out, either with the teacher or with administration, to get that situation squared away. If you need help, I'm here for you. I'm going to be, doing some things on the other side of this, but for the most part, you also need to deal with this and be able to. That way, you can deal with conflict in the future. That way, you can deal with bad bosses or uncomfortable situations when you get into the workplace, because you can't succeed if you're not put in those situations to fend for yourself.
Exactly. That's why she get mad. She's like, Mom, and I be like, you want me to call? Because if I call, it's gonna be a different conversation.
Right.
Never mind, Mom. Never mind.
Well, a small thing to do too, and that I've done with my kids, especially like my second oldest daughter and my youngest daughter. Both of them uh, they ride this wave of being very shy, right? So, except for my youngest, sometimes she can be very outgoing as well at the same time. But they both take this shy approach when they're dealing with people.
Mm.
And one thing that I found is that they'll let people do things, you know, that they don't really want to happen. Like particularly when they're ordering, let's say they're ordering food at a restaurant. Because I make my kids order their own food. They get old enough, they can order their own food.
Mhm.
And the waitress, because they're being shy, they're talking low. Waitress doesn't get the order right. I'm like, speak up, tell them like, hey, no, you got this part wrong. I want you to give me X, Y, Z. Not in that kind of tone, but you know what I mean. Like, hey, nope, you didn't hear me
Yeah, something
correctly.
wrong. Tell them.
Exactly. Tell them. Say something. Don't sit there and be like, okay, well, I tried to mention it, but they didn't hear me. And it's like, well, then make them hear you. Like, do something. Say something. Don't just let people walk over you. Because you're not going to get anything that you want out of this life if you don't speak up for yourself. Or you're not going to get respected. You definitely won't get respected in this life if you don't speak up for yourself. And that's the big thing. I tell my kids that all the time. Well, maybe not all the time, but I've told them that several times. Let me stop lying. I told my kids that several times. Like, you will not get respected in this world if you don't speak up for yourself. That's just bottom line. So I think I'm definitely on track with that one. But definitely want people to know. Teach your kids how to order their own food. Teach them how to speak up for themselves. Teach them how to put that money on the table too, and get that money and get that change back. Not that whole you're gonna buy it for them and all that. No, give them the money. Let them take that cash up there and learn how to get that
Yeah,
change
even my
back properly.
son, I give him money when we go to the store sometimes.
Mhm.
He tried to throw it away, but
He's like, "What's this? Looks like trash." White man on the
no. But now
internet.
he's starting to understand that money buys the snacks that he want when he go in the store and start picking up shit.
Nice, nice.
'Cause he'll go in the store and just start putting stuff on the counter.
Yeah, right. He's like, "I want this, and I want this, and I want this." I feel him. I feel him. I tell him I'm on the same team, greedy team.
I told the teacher she the one started it.
That's what's up.
He
That's
picks
what's up.
all the stuff, and sometimes I have to tell him like he want to go even if I don't have money. I'm like, no, we can't have money.
You over there raising
But
entitled kids.
I try not to. a thing with him learning that if he says something successfully, he gets it.
Oh, okay, right. That's this incentive.
Something rewarded you get what you ask for. You have to say it. Like if you go to the store, if he say I want bears, which is gummy bears, that means he's supposed to get it because he said it.
He over there saying everything now, I'm sure.
When he says I want bears and you don't got money for bears. He had to learn.
He over there with a whole list. Like I know how to say all these words now. It's cool.
We just got to teach him that he has to accept no sometimes.
Yeah. Well, shoot, I think all kids need to learn that. I mean, sometimes learning no is harder than learning not everything else, but a lot of other things. That's what's wrong with these entitled kids today is that they haven't learned no. They haven't learned how to be rejected. And that's huge. You know what I mean? Because not to put it all on that, but I would say a large percentage of suicides is kids who don't understand rejection, who don't get that sometimes people are not going to be your friends. Sometimes people are not going to accept you. Sometimes people are not going to treat you with the same respect that you're giving them. And that's okay. You don't have to deal with those people every day. And if you do, there's other people outside of that realm that you can deal with that's going to be more respectable of your time and your presence. So dealing with no and dealing with rejection is a huge thing to teach your kids. You got to teach them that. You got to be able to teach them how to deal with adversity, because if they don't learn that, they're going to be in trouble, huge trouble.
Yeah, I'm going to get him to we work on a lot of things with him, but I know with him I have to teach him more. Because he's a little bit I think for a while I allow him to get away with a lot of stuff, and now it's like I got to stop certain behaviors before he gets too old to now change his pattern.
Right.
We'll see.
Yeah, he's gonna be fine. You teaching them right. But yeah, and that's the thing. We gotta set the right examples. That was one thing is we set you set examples for your kids because they're always paying attention. That's the thing and that's what people don't realize sometimes is that our kids are always paying attention, no matter how young, no matter how much you think that they're not. Maybe they have a situation that doesn't preclude them to get everything, to just fully understand everything. But even they're responding to the environment you're putting them in, and they're paying attention. And I think that people have to realize that the example that you're setting is bigger sometimes than the words that you're saying to your kid, than the lessons that you're teaching to your kid, because what you're doing and how you're navigating through life is what they're looking at for taking the lead in their mind of how they should be. You know what I mean? I had a cousin of mine tell me that she felt like I had a huge impact on her life because she watched me raise these kids. She watched me have these businesses. She watched me, be successful in my 9-to-5, my career. She watched me be successful in my business, and she watched the way I dealt with people and the way I worked with people, and that heavily influenced her life. And what was funny to me about it was that this was a cousin that I thought I really only had 2 or 3 really good interactions with. Past that, I didn't realize she was watching. I didn't realize she even knew what I was doing.
But you never know who's paying attention.
You never know who's paying attention. You never know. And when she explained it to me, it had me just like flabbergasted, because I was just like, dang, like one little bad thing that I could have did could have ruined her life. Or ruin her outlook, or ruin her perspective of life, But the way I navigated through this life, it taught her that we can succeed in adversity. She watched me, even though she was younger than me, but she still watched me go from being poor in a bad situation where I grew up, in the struggle, and then was able to succeed, raise a good family, have good businesses and all this kind of stuff. So she's like, hey, if you can do it, I can do it. If you
Yeah.
can go through this, I know the rest of us can make it. If we just, put our minds to it, we can just focus like you did. And and for her to recognize that, it was like, wow, this is what I wanted my kids to pick up, and I'm affecting other youth around me, not even realizing it, and that just goes to show. I mean, that speaks volumes in terms of what we do and how we do it. The examples that we're setting, being a role model is much more than just volunteering at a place or saying that you're going to do a certain thing and telling somebody that you're doing it. It's just what you do on a day-to-day basis. When you don't think anybody's watching, you can be a role model at that time and have a person looking at you and saying, you know what, I'm gonna be just like that, or not. You know what I mean? So it's huge what
Yeah.
you're doing to set the example.
Even that's one thing that I've been definitely trying to do. If I don't teach my daughter anything, like um, I'm glad that her work ethic is better than mine. Like she
Hmm.
likes working, she wants to find another job, but she's still at the job that she's at. She likes to be on time. She likes working. She not
Right.
even when she likes how she do work, how she do school. She don't like to miss a day. If she don't have to miss a day of work, she's there. And when they
Right.
call need people to come in to work, she's there to do it. So I think
That's
that's
important.
dope for her to be at the age she is. For her to do that, I think it's dope. So, and I try to tell her that, like we talked about, this is her senior year. We talked about what she wants to do going forward. She still doesn't know, and I just had a
Mhm.
conversation with her. Like, look, I would love for you to go to college, but if you don't want to go, I'm not going to force you. But you need to
Right.
do something productive. Like you're not going to
Yeah.
be sitting around doing nothing.
Right. Right. Yeah. I mean that.
I'm not going to force you to do something that you're not ready to do.
Yeah, I mean that's not for everybody. College is not for everybody. It's one of those things that's important, but only to a point. There's other things you can do without a college degree. I mean, people have done it, right? We've seen people. Shoot, we've seen people become millionaires without college education. And not to say that everybody should go out there and drop out of college and try to become a millionaire, but
Yeah.
not everyone is built for that discipline and built for that lifestyle. And then some things you don't get in college. I mean, the business I was in when I came up, they weren't teaching these things in college. The things that I ended up having to teach myself and I had to learn out there, they weren't there weren't college classes for that. They didn't start doing that kind of stuff until like the last 10 years. And I started my business over 25 years ago. So it was something I had to learn on my own. I had to progress and I had to figure out. There was no blueprint, for what I was doing. Well, it was a minor blueprint, but not specifically for what I was doing. So I had to figure that stuff out on my own. So, I think a lot of times people have to, sometimes figure out what's really right for them. A lot of people go into college not knowing what they want to do either. That's another thing. So you
Yeah.
go in there, you spend 2, 3, sometimes even 4 or 5 years just doing classes and have no clue what you still want to do with your life. And, that goes to show you that sometimes, it's not all about what you're learning in school. It's sometimes just about going through the motions and then figuring things out. You still may need to figure things out for yourself. So I think, the people shouldn't beat themselves up over not going to college or not being college bound or college ready, because it's not for everybody. Nobody ever said it was. People got to get that out of their minds that everybody's supposed to go to college. No, it's not. There's people going to be successful regardless. Quiet as it's kept. I mean, I did go to college. I did get a degree, but I didn't get that degree because I needed to learn something. I needed that degree just to get a piece of paper. Everything else I've taught myself, and I learned from experience, or I picked up from a different type of class or a different type of school. So I think
Mhm.
that sometimes we have to understand that there's other outlets for learning. There's so many ways of getting, the experience that you need, credentials that you need for certain types of jobs. I mean, yeah, if you're going to be a doctor or a lawyer, you may need to go to the usual route to get that education and that knowledge. But when it comes to things, especially when you're being creative, especially when you're being an entrepreneur, a lot of that stuff you don't learn in school. Some of the basic knowledge or some of the basic stuff, yeah, you're gonna get that, but the things you need for whatever you're specifically doing, a lot of times you got to figure it out.
Mhm.
Get a mentor, go to a night, or not night, what they call it, a vocational school, or go to a trade school, or take certification classes. There are so many ways of getting your experience and your education, or getting your learning how to do what you need to do. There's a lot of different ways to get it. So don't think there's only one way and one avenue. It's not. I mean, some people say universities are a scam, which bottom line, most of them are. But I think that one thing to keep in mind is that it's built to make money and to weed out people from a certain from in a certain way,
Mhm.
and as well as to show other people that you may that you have the ability to deal with a process, or deal with um, drawing a blank here, the exact word I want to use, but basically that you can do certain things to get what you need, and you can go through those steps, right? It's just showing that you have that, and people will hire you based on that. Not that your degree has anything to do with that job. Some of my best managers or bosses had no degree in the field we were in at the time. You know what I mean? They learned what they learned, either on the streets or through some other means. It had nothing to do with the college they went to or the degree that they had.
Yeah, that's a lot of people that don't at my job that went to school for something else and don't do what they were doing.
Hmm.
So it's just like
Exactly.
like you said, you basically do all that and it's not getting you anywhere. So
Yeah.
that kind
Yeah.
of sucks.
Yeah. Yeah. But it's important to know that there's other ways. There's other ways. Let me get that number out right quick. If you guys want to chime in on your experience, on how you're raising your kids, the examples you're setting, give us a call at 657-383-1155. Um, Again, the Twitter board is up. I'm watching the tweets. Um, that's at GFT_radio on Twitter, and we're on Instagram as well. So hit us up.
Yeah, but we're about to approach the after show.
Yes, yes, yes. Well, before we go to the after show, I do want to discuss the video. I know I said I was going to try to find that link. I didn't get a chance to find the link yet. So hopefully my description, my lengthy and very detailed description was enough for folks, but I'll say it again. Basically, the reason we were talking about this show was talking about the things that the guy was doing with his sons, the strength training and all that. Basically, the thing that people were in a kind of like an argument about and going back and forth in the comments on that one video was just that the methods that the guy was using in order to teach his kids. Like I said, he was using medicine balls. And keep in mind, this guy was like, I don't know, he was some kind of athlete, or he looked like a football player, a little short football player. So he was stocky and built up, and he's like hurling a medicine ball at a kid that's probably 12, and punching the kid in the stomach and the chest. Telling him that he's got to be able to learn how to take these punches, And, so some people in the comments were saying how, the guy looks like he knows what he's doing. He probably knows what he's doing with his kid. And, he's teaching his kid, to be able to deal with adversity, right? And as well as some other people felt like, he was the parent. He knows best for his kids. Let that man be a father. But then you did have the contrast where some people were saying that they felt that it was too much, that it was too far, that it was abusive. Some even said to do that kind of thing to a kid, physically as well as mentally and emotionally. One thing I did notice is that the kid during the experience, he was, chanting the same things that the father was saying, but he was also crying. He was in pain. I could tell the kid was in pain. He was definitely feeling them punches. He was not fully ready for what his father was punishing him with. But he was all for it because his dad was all for it. In a way, I felt that part of it was maybe a little much because kids are pliable, right? We can teach kids to be accepting and receptive of almost anything. Including abuse. So you do have to be careful of that, in my opinion. The adversity portion of it, as well as the fact that he was teaching his kid to deal with, how to do strength training and taking impact. That part of it, I did feel that, the father did appear to possibly have known what he was doing. Outside of the fact the kid was crying, I think the kid was crying because it was hurting, but I think also, he's trying to build his kids' resistance up to that pain. And I think that it's something that, over time he won't have an issue with. But, when it comes to just a life lesson, maybe not have to go to that extreme. There's other ways of us to, teaching our kids. But, I think everybody has their way of doing things. So, what do you think, Sonny?
I think, like you said, the kid seemed to be in pain. I think the dad was just wanting him to push past the pain and be able to deal with bullies or whatever he encountered. I think sometimes we get into that mindset of we're trying to teach our kids something so they have to tough love learn it. Mm-hmm. So I think in that situation, the dad should kind of took a step back and reaffirm and reassure the kid and make sure that this is something that he wanted to do. I know nobody wants to raise kids, especially boys, as punks or whatever. Want them to be able to protect themselves. But I think that it's just better to kind of get the kids' input and either show them a different way. You can, rather than doing it that way, they can go to boxing lessons, they can go to kickboxing, they can learn karate, they can learn these different things. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. That is the same physical, slightly, but not as much, and plus it's more disciplined.
Right.
Let them choose to go into that type of situation. That's how I believe. I get it from a perspective of wanting your child to be able to protect themselves. I get that. But sometimes the method is the madness, and the kid suffers.
Right. Yeah, I totally agree there. Yeah. I mean, if your kid had a father that was like that, where he was, doing all that extra stuff, would you allow him to do that with your kid, throwing medicine balls at him and teaching him?
No, but my son dad wants to sign my kid up for boxing at some point.
Oh, really? Oh, okay. Oh, wow.
Because his dad, he boxes, so he wants his son to learn his skill. Mm-hmm. And I am I don't know about that, buddy. I get it because that's your bonding thing. but I just don't know if I'm my baby into that.
Right.
So
Yeah,
I know
that's
that
a
that's going
hard
to
one.
be one of those hard conversations / debates
Yeah.
because that's his son. He wants his son to be able to be a man's man, you know?
Yeah. I mean, I think some people want some guys want their sons to be alpha males or want them to be, what they call them, jocks or I don't know what you call them nowadays. I know jocks is probably like an '80s word or something, but you know what I mean. It's like they want them to be, in the sports and all that kind of stuff. It's so funny because like when I talk to other guys and everybody's talking about football and they're like, yeah, so what do you think about this football stuff? And I'm like, yeah, I don't know. I don't follow football. They look at me like I'm crazy, because I'm a big guy, you know. Uh, um, most of the guys my age are into football or into basketball or into some kind of sport, and I'm like, yeah, not me. I do everything with my kids. My kids do enough sports. I don't want to deal with somebody else's sports once I'm done with that. So.
Yeah, like I like basketball, and as of lately, my son has my daughter bought him a little court. I know I posted a video on Facebook a couple times with him in this little court situation.
Mm-hmm.
But now we talk about 6 o'clock in the morning. He's shooting hoops.
Oh wow!
He's cheating sometimes. Like, sometimes he'll make the basket and then he'll move back further to try to make it again.
Mm-hmm.
And then after missing it so many times, he pulls a chair or he drags his toy chest to stand on it right underneath the basket and just throw it in.
Right.
But you're talking about 6 o'clock in the morning, almost 4 times a week. He's doing this.
Mm.
And then during the day, you just hear it. I'm like, I need you to chill out. It's too early in the morning. Like, it's too late at night. Like, relax. So I think he's showing an interest in basketball. So I am going to get him a real basketball court put in the backyard and see how he takes to that.
That'd be dope.
Right?
Mm-hmm.
I think it'd be fun to watch him. I think his dad also played basketball, so I told him about that, and he wants to teach him. I'm trying to find a little league that can teach him, the discipline of it a little bit more. I mean, we already know he's gonna be tall.
Right. Yeah. Definitely.
So if he wants to play basketball and he likes it that much, I just want to see if he'll like it and then go from there. I don't want to make him do it. I just want to see if the interest is there.
Right. Yeah, I don't blame you. I mean, you definitely want your kid to be kind of in control of their own destiny, being able to make that decision on their own without being unduly influenced, by you as a parent or as the other parent, that kind of thing. I think I've always tried to be very unbiased, very accepting or flexible with my kids when it came to the things they want to do, whatever sports, whatever activities. I mean, like my youngest son, he's probably a great example of that. He started off just like my daughter. My youngest daughter started off doing karate. They've also done soccer or not really soccer, but like kick stuff, kick training and stuff, as well as basketball, as well as they've done some other sports. My daughter's done cheerleading. My son's done football, basketball. So, it's something that, I've been very flexible about. And, when he wanted to do baseball, I'm not a big baseball fan, not really a big baseball person, but I was right there with him, letting him do the baseball thing. Right now he's doing violin, so, and I'm not even musical. I mean, I love music, but I'm not a musical instrument kind of playing kind of person. I don't know how to play an instrument at all. I think his older siblings have played instruments, but I've never played an instrument, so it's just like I'm going through the experience with them, watching them play, watching them learn, helping him with whatever he needs to have, done, in terms of lessons, that kind of thing. So, I'm not judgmental about whatever he's doing. He wants to play baseball, he wants to do violin or whatever else he wants to do. I'm all for it. Of course, I have my influences, because I'm a very technical person, so I put him in classes to learn how to do technical stuff. But those are things too that he's wanted to do. I've left it to him to make those choices as well. Usually it's building video games or doing something with build engineering, which is not really my forte anyway. So I know it's really something he wants to do because I'm not the one making that, making that suggestion at all. So, I definitely want my kids to be happy with the decisions that they make and find their own success in life as well. So, I think when you do that, you're definitely arming them to be successful. To be able to have that flexibility.
Yeah. I don't know. My daughter, I didn't want her to quit, but when she didn't make the softball team for her 10th grade year, she was like, "I'm never doing it again." Because she was upset.
Oh.
I get it. But I just felt like she should have, if she really wanted to do it, she should have tried to do it again.
Mm. Yeah. So we're in the after show. Did you have a topic you wanted to discuss in the after show?
Well, no. I kind of really didn't. I wanted to talk about the election stuff, but I didn't watch it tonight, so.
Yeah. I've been kind of following it on Twitter since I'm on Twitter right now. It looks like Biden's being Biden as usual. Not much going on with Cory Booker. Kamala Harris is pissing some people off, mainly Republican pundits. So it's going about the way we always figured it would.
He said, it's going the way that we normally have it.
Right, it's the same way, basically.
Isn't it going on now, right?
Yeah, I think it's still going on right now. I watched the Dave Chappelle special on Netflix, Sticks and Stones.
I didn't watch that.
Oh, okay. So I won't get into detail too much on what happened on Sticks and Stones. He basically tried to piss everybody off that he could think of, which is one of the controversial things about that show. But one thing that I did like about that show was he kind of got into the topic of the presidential race and what was going on, and he made the perfect statement about the race. And because I can't remember if somebody asked him the question of what he thought about. It was they either asked him who he thought was going to win, or they asked him take that back. They asked him what is he going to do if Trump won the election again. And his response was perfect because he said basically, I really don't care about Trump. Trump's not. He said Trump's not the hokey pokey. It's not all about Trump. It's not all about Trump as a person, as a leader or anything like that. It's about the millions of people who put him in office. He said he's thinking more about them than who's in office in terms of Trump being in office. And that I thought was the smartest thing to think about out of all the things I've heard in the last couple of months is that we're so focused on which rightfully so. We don't want Trump back in office, but I think we also have to keep in mind it's not just Trump, right? Trump didn't put himself in office. Trump didn't decide to be president and it just happened. It was millions of people decided they wanted to vote for Trump, as well as whoever the whatever number of electorals decided to put his ass in office. It's them we got to worry about. It's that narrative and that mindset, Chappelle blamed it on poor white people, and I'm not going to just put it on poor white people because I know a lot of rich white people had something to do with it too. It's about people in general who feel like they have this need to speak out and be as racially insensitive and irrational as they can be, as well as these people who feel like they can ignore the obvious facts of who this man really is and just push an agenda because that's what they want to
Mhm.
do, right? They want to push an agenda, and that's one place. And I think he kind of hinted towards this was the one thing about Democrats is the Democrats. I mean, they're basically not doing anything, right? They got a bunch of able-bodied people, but who mean nothing in the grand scheme of things. They're not gonna they're not worth two shits in a pan. They're more than likely not going to win because they haven't said anything or they haven't done anything to really move anybody, right? To really push anybody to act, and that's the thing. Trump and the Republicans and their agendas are moving people. They're making people feel empowered. They're making people feel like because how you put it, he's like Trump's over here grabbing pussies and pissing people off, but people love him, right? These people love him. They
Mhm.
love rhetoric. They love the way he's doing things. They love the Republicans. They love the way the Republicans are pushing these things together, and it's the movement. You know what I mean? So I think that people have to realize that you know, if the leaders that are against that are not moving anything forward, they're not going to win. There's no chance. You know,
Mhm.
um, as scary as it is, I'm pretty sure we got another 4 years. We got to deal with another Trump administration, more chaos, more craziness. But it's what these people want, and they're going to push to get it. So if we're not taking it serious as be it if you're a Democrat or if you're not a Democrat, if you just don't want Trump in office, or if you don't want Republicans to be just doing whatever they want to do, if you're not taking it serious, and as
Mhm.
well as these leaders aren't taking it serious enough, then things aren't going to change. So I think that's the one big thing they got to keep in mind. And is it about who can beat Trump? Probably, but it's also about who can move people and who can get people motivated and all moving in the same direction. And that's what you got to figure out.
Yeah.
And that's what they got.
I'm just like, it's so many people running. It's so many people with different agendas.
Mm-hmm.
It's at this point, it's like to me, I feel like it's a reality show right now.
Oh yeah, yeah. I mean,
And
the Trump
then,
administration is a big reality show, so
yeah, it's
might
been
as
that
well
way,
make
and that's
the
why this,
whole Democratic National Convention be one too.
yeah,
Might as
this is why it's going the way it's going right now.
well. Yeah. But past that, I mean, I think the antics are just out of control. I mean, the whole Markey Gate or not Markey, what do you call it? Um, magic marker gate, him drawing everything with magic markers to make his point. To the firings at the federal level, to the situation with the HUD, the situation with the Supreme Court. It's just too much foolishness going on up in that administration. It's just killing it. It's just ridiculous.
You said it right, foolishness.
Utter foolishness. So, but I mean, if nothing else, I definitely wanted to mention, uh, we have some things in line. We're going to be talking about more coming up here in the next few weeks.
Mhm.
Are we ready to announce our new day and time yet? We ready to put that out there?
Hold off on that. I gotta have a conversation with
Okay.
y'all.
Okay. All right. All right. We're gonna have
But
we're gonna have an announcement though. Regardless of that, we're gonna have an announcement soon of some new initiatives that we're gonna be putting out there. I think we're ready to announce that.
exactly.
But we're lining up some things we're gonna be doing. Just let it be known that we're gonna be pushing some awareness out there for people. It's close and dear to our hearts. It's close and dear to a lot of your hearts. You're probably already seeing us promoting some events that are coming up very soon. Like I just promoted an event going on in Detroit with the uh, Centria. Before I start spouting off, I better have the exact information
You
because
want
I
me to
like
go
to.
first?
Yeah, you go first. Yeah, because you got the walk coming up, right? So tell
Yes.
them about the walk.
So y'all know, like every year, the last couple of years since my son's been diagnosed, I have done an autism walk. Last year we did the Autism Speaks walk. This year we're doing it again. It's October 13th. So far, I started off my fundraiser with 250. I'm at 240 right now. I am now doing dollar donations at my job. Got a couple donations going there. Getting shirts made. I'm going to purchase the shirts and then resell the shirts at a lower cost. All funds will go to the fundraising efforts for Autism Speaks as well. So if you choose to let it touch your heart and donate, I have shared the link on the GFT Radio Show Facebook page. I will share it continuously going forward. Any money or any dollar amount can help. If you know somebody is autistic or have somebody in your family or work with people with autism and stuff like that, you know the plight that they go through and a lot of the assistance that these families need help with, whether it's a family member needing counseling, need to be taught how to care for an autistic person and things like that. And just for the family in general, they deal with a lot. I know personally, I know I deal with a lot, and
Right.
So that donation has been started for a while. It will be running throughout to the end of the year, even though the walk is October 13th. I still will be collecting donations via Facebook. So if you want to donate, go right there. I'll be posting it like once a week on our Facebook page, just so I won't inundate y'all with it. So like what he said, we got a couple of different events that we're trying to do to raise awareness. Like we feel like we need to get back more, and this is how we're going to do it.
Yep.
Exactly. Be it autism or any other type of awareness that we can raise that touches us, we're trying to do. So.
Right. I mean, right now we're going to be focusing on autism awareness, what's called ABA therapies. We're going to be focusing on community education. I mean, that's the biggest thing that I want to focus on with autism awareness is community education. Between job placements, police interactions, community involvement with autism awareness, as well as how we help our neighbors that either are autistic or who have autistic family members to be successful in our communities. That's the biggest thing is having that community education to understand how to do that, how to help them be successful without any issues there. So. That's the big push right now, the initiative. The one I was going to talk about it's called Superhero Autism Activity Day. It's here in Detroit at the Bowl Family YMCA. Bowl Family YMCA is downtown off of Broadway Street. It's on 1401 Broadway Street in Detroit, Michigan. The event is on Saturday, November 9th. From 10 a.m. to 1 p.m. There is a Facebook event that's out there. I think I've saved it and shared it on both the GFT Radio Show page as well as on the Ask Willie Styles page and on Facebook. I'll be posting it again over the next couple of weeks, promoting the activity day. It's a great way to interact with the community, be able to learn more about things that Century of Autism is doing for the autism community, especially here in the city of Detroit. But Century of Autism is a nationwide organization that is helping to bring awareness as well as help with therapies and things of that nature all across the country. So definitely participate, find out about autism activity days in your area as well on the Century of Autism Facebook site or on their website, centuryofautism.com.
All right, that's dope. And I'm definitely got to talk. I mean, from the information I received, I'm definitely looking into trying to get services more closer.
Mm-hmm. Right.
Because, like I said to you guys, you have to go to another town over or another town over and over. And within your city, you should have some organizations within the city
Yeah, I definitely feel you on there. I mean, it's hard enough to locate, the best type of activities and the most appropriate activities for your child. But it's another thing when you have to search far and wide just to get to them, right? You have to,
Yeah, and then
and
you
I think
don't drive.
exactly. One of the points you brought up is transportation. I mean, in a community such as yours and being in that area where, it's not like everyone's driving around and there's a huge need to be able to get to those locations local and not have to take, two trains, a cab, and a bus just to get there. So it definitely needs to be some more local. What do they call it? Accessible, more accessible activities and events. So we definitely want to make these things more accessible and more local. So for everyone that's involved. So yeah.
Yeah. You got a lot of dope things coming, so guys, be on standby for that.
Yes, definitely. Trying to do big things here at GFT Radio Show. You're here for the people. We've always tried to be here as a source of education, a source of enlightenment, a way to just let loose and get your ideas and thoughts out there. We take a lot of our ideas from social media, from groups, from messages we get from people, however it takes, So definitely, if you have any ideas, you have any show topics, if it affects your life, if it affects what you're going through, definitely reach out to us. I know one thing that I recently just posted was, and it was kind of in response because I got this question asked of me for another person in my family, as well as a few weeks ago, this was asked of me with someone else that I love, and it's about people asking about people getting pregnant, and having kids, and
Yeah.
I think a lot of people, for the most part, are asking it innocently. But I think one of the big awareness topics I'm starting to push now, because when I got asked about it for one of my family members, it kind of hurt me because I'm not about to tell the person who asked me the answer of why that person can't have children, because it's not their business. But also, it hurt me because I'm like, what is she going through when people ask her that question and she's thinking to herself that, hey, I can't have kids, and people are bugging me and bugging me and bugging me about when am I going to have a kid. And, I have another friend that's, that's had a loss of a child. I have actually a couple friends that have lost children in childbirth, and some are more positive about the situation in terms of wanting to try again. Others are still heartbroken. I mean, years later, they're still heartbroken, rightfully so.
Yes.
When you're trying to conceive, or even if it was a surprise, you still can be heartbroken by that experience. And I think it's insensitive to think that you should pressure people like that into trying to have another kid, or asking them questions about why they aren't having kids and all that kind of stuff. It's like, I'm definitely feeling them on the whole. Stop asking that question. It's not appropriate. It's not innocent anymore. We know now. People are talking about it. People are putting their experiences out there. We've known for decades that some people can't have kids. We've known that. We've known for decades that people are having miscarriages and that people lose their babies. Stop talking about when are you going to have a kid. Stop asking them that. I personally haven't had an issue with somebody asking me about having another kid because I'm sterile. And I tell people all the time, like, yeah, I got the vasectomy done years ago. I can't have kids, so I have no problem telling people that. But not everybody's free with that information as I am. Some people don't want to talk about that information, especially if they're not sterile because they want to be. It's a hurtful thing. So stop asking people that question. It's important to realize and remember that people have feelings and they have situations they can't control. So be cognizant of that.
Agreed. Definitely agreed. I know people that go through that problem. I know people that lost kids. My mom was one that lost a child as a baby. She had more, but she struggled with it.
Right, right.
So people need to be mindful and have
Yeah,
more tact.
definitely, definitely,
That
definitely.
simple.
Yeah. So speaking of tech, one of my friends said that they were uh, had a conversation with somebody, or not a conversation. Someone came up to them, didn't even know them, didn't even know her. Came up to her and mentioned to her, "Oh, I heard about you and your husband. You're the ones that don't want to have kids. That sure is selfish." Like literally said that to this
Wow.
woman in her face, and had never even spoken to her before. I'm like, wow, that's crazy. Like that's nuts. Like beyond
But
not
see, the
having tech.
opposite of that. Here's the opposite side of that. You had kids, right?
Hmm.
Like I had two kids. I've been told, oh, you don't need any more.
Oh yeah, me having six. You know what I get
What
all the
do you
time.
mean? Like now, I very may well agree. I don't need any more.
Hmm.
But who are you to tell me not to have any more? Are you taking care of my
Exactly.
kids? No.
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah. Or people are people, especially when they don't realize that I have a lot of kids, and you hear the people making comments about people with a lot of kids, like, oh, what's wrong with these people out here having all these kids and they can't take care of them, blah blah this and blah blah that, and it's like, bruh, like you don't know what people are going through. You don't know what people have. I mean, people have kids not because not always because they are trying, and even if they are, that's their business. Let them have their children. Let them take care of the kids the best they can. But going off on people having kids and you don't even know a person's situation, it's crazy. I mean, I've actually had people stand in front of me and talk about anyone over having more than 4 kids is I forgot how they put it, like a leech on society. Like I'm sitting there flabbergasted, like, wow, like really, you just said that. You don't even realize I got 6 kids, like, bruh, like I take care of my children, and
Yeah.
and beyond, and whether or not I'm taking care of my kids or not, it's not their business. For one, it's not appropriate for them to have their own impressions on how many kids somebody should have. Like you said, it's not up to them. I what I decide to do or how I decide to raise my family is how I decide to raise my family. Don't put your insecurities and your fear of taking care of more than one kid on me. That's not my problem. That's your problem.
My
You get
mom
what I'm
had
saying?
six. My mom had six of us.
Yeah, I got six
So
kids, and I've taken care of more than that. I've taken care of at least 10 kids, between my kids and my godchildren. It is funny because I've had people say, "Oh, they've called my kids my step kids because I have 4 kids that are not biologically mine." I've raised those kids; those are my children. Don't tell me that these are stepchildren. They're not stepchildren. They're my kids. I've raised them. I've taken care of them. I've financially, emotionally, physically, spiritually, everything. I've done everything for these kids. I've dedicated my life to them. I still take care of them in some way, shape, or form now. So no, they're my children, and I got 10 of them. So
it is what it is. So let's wrap it up.
yeah, let's wrap
Um,
it up.
Not wrap it up in that sense, but
If you got to wrap it up, wrap it up. But that's on you.
nah.
That's
But
your
thank y'all for
personal.
joining, listening, tuning into the show tonight.
Yes, yes. Definitely. Thank you for joining. You can get at me at Willie Styles everywhere. WillieStyles.info for all my links. I'm Willie Styles or Willie.Styles on Snapchat, at Willie Styles on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter.
And of course, you can reach me. I am Sunny_D. Instagram, Snapchat, and Twitter. Very, very simple. Unreservedlyme.com. And catch us on our blog, gftradioshow.com. Go to Teespring. That's what I got to do early in the show. Teespring.com /stores/GFT Radio. Search. Look for us SoundCloud, Google Play Music, iTunes, YouTube. Again, on the playback on Blog Talk Radio, where we are now. Follow us on Instagram and Twitter at GST_radio. Like the Facebook page, GST Radio Show. Thank you all again for listening tonight. And as Clint would say,
catch y'all in 7 days.
bye.
Holla.